Gun Owners Radio, we make activism easy. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for listening to Gun Owners Radio. Don't forget to go to our website. It's gunownersradio.com. Follow us on social media and share with all your friends. Make sure that we are not the best kept secret in Second Amendment. And sign up for our email. We send out an email from time to time telling you exactly what's going on with Gun Owners Radio and the Second Amendment community in California and all kinds of cool stuff. But most important, tell your friends. GunOwnersRadio.com.
Gun Owners Radio has a new home here at Discount Gun Mart. DGM gives us a bunker that we call a studio for Gun Owners Radio. So check out DGM in San Diego on Marina and in the Santee area near Gillespie Field off the 67. And if you have internet access, go ahead and go to the interwebs and look up discountgunmart.com for more info.
The interwebs.
The interwebs.
Later in the show, we're actually going to announce the SEAL1 MAG40 Sweepstakes winner. Somebody is going to train with Massad Ayoob in San Diego for free. So stay tuned.
Lucky.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, time for the gun truth of the week.
Gun truth of the week. Okay, this one again is from the Wright and Rossi study that we've been talking about. Around 2/5 of the convicts, they were actually all felons that they surveyed. They said, these horrible felons, they said that they'd encountered an armed victim at least once, 2/5 of those felons. Around 1/3 said that they'd been, quote, scared off, shot at, wounded, or captured by an armed victim, end quote. And about 2/5 said that they changed their mind on attacking someone because they thought the potential victim might be armed. Lesson is, get a gun, get training, get a permit, and carry it everywhere you can. All right, so Q&As, you have Qs, I have As. Let's start with some of the little ones first. Let's see. How about we do how early should a CCW be renewed, and when should you start the process? What do you think, Alicia? You have insight there?
I think I might a little bit.
Go for it. First off, how early should a CCW be renewed? In other words, your CCW is going to expire. When should you start the renewal process?
Well, the sheriff kind of locks you in as to when you can. So you can't necessarily do as early as you might like. The sheriff currently has a protocol of allowing up to 45 days before you expire. Yep. And that's when you can submit for your renewal. Know that the renewal process, it takes a couple weeks for your new permit to be received. And if you happen to lapse before you receive that new permit in the mail, note that you cannot carry once you expire. The sheriff does caution that it takes 3 to 4 weeks to receive your renewal in the mail. So if you wait too far into that 45-day period, you might have a lapse.
There you go. And step one, so you're 45 days out, step one is?
You find a class in your area that's offered by an approved CCW instructor. So go to the sheriff's website, download that list of approved instructors, and pick a class that works for you. You start with the class. You do not start with the sheriff.
Yeah, and if you start 45 days out, you should get your permit without any kind of gap. But
hopefully,
if you do dawdle, and we don't recommend you dawdle, you don't have to start the entire process over for 2 years. But don't dawdle. Don't have a gap.
Yeah.
Get your CCW, carry everywhere you can.
Yep, and they want you to have your certificate from your course in hand when you start that application for renewal online. They actually have a prompt when you go to renew. It says, please don't start until you have all your docs in line. So.
And if you have any questions, email us. Be happy to help any way we possibly can. I help with this kind of thing all the time, and it's free. We don't even check to see if you're a member. I just assume you're doing the right thing and you're a member of San Diego County Gun Owners or Inland Empire or Orange County Gun Owners, or you're a listener to Gun Owners Radio. I just assume you're a good person.
You know, I want to throw one more thing in there.
Oh, go for it.
When it's time to renew, as you approach your expiration date, I tell everybody put a reminder in your phone or on your calendar for 3 months before you expire, because they don't send you a reminder. They don't notify you or tell you. It's on you to keep track. So I tell everybody 90 days before you expire, put a reminder that prompts you to look into seeing what the current protocol is. We don't know what it'll be like. You know, let's say you renew now in 2 years, we don't know what it's going to be. Right now it's 45 days, but we've seen that move anywhere from 30 to upwards of 90, right? So we don't know what it's going to be.
It's getting better, though.
Yeah.
I don't expect it to get longer than 45. I actually expect it to get shorter.
Shorter, and I think they're going to start processing and getting them out faster.
Yeah.
I know, and I will throw my own self in there under the bus. I'm currently expired.
Oh my God. I know. What is wrong with you?
I submitted my renewal. I kind of sat on it for about 10 days. I submitted on day 30, about 35 before I expired.
Don't be like Alicia.
Don't be like me.
Don't be like Alicia.
Don't be like me. Yeah, I expired.
Desi, are you expired?
No, not a year.
We haven't introduced Desi yet, but we will. But all you know about Desi right now is she's not
expired.
Mine expires in January of next year. So.
All right, you're good to go then.
That's it.
Monthly meetings. People have asked about the monthly meetings. So we've been in existence for 9 years, and for actually all that time, we've had some sort of monthly meeting. And we decided that we're going to go a different direction in 2025. We want to expand the scope of the meetings and have more of an event environment. So in January, the event was the inauguration watch party, which many of you came out. We had over 500 people show up and watch the inauguration on Inauguration Day on a huge screen in Mission Valley, which was very, very cool. The next event, of course, is the Massad Ayoob event in early March.
Very excited.
Which is basically the February event. And then at the end of March, we're going to have a range day. We haven't even announced yet. It's a range day on an open outdoor range. You're going to get to come and shoot and have a lot of fun. We've done this before. It's always turned out to be a blast for everybody. So stay tuned for that. And then in April, I'm announcing this very early. You can't buy tickets or anything yet, but in April, we're going to have Second Amendment Comedy Night.
Oh.
It's going to be cool.
It's also Domestic Violence Awareness Month for NOTMESD, and we always do an event.
There you go. Well, we'll do something for Not Me as well, which we're going to talk about a lot about Not Me. Anyway, that's what we're doing for meeting night. The reality is it's 2025, and everything that was said at the meetings could be an email or a podcast video. So they're antiquated. The way we were running the meetings are antiquated. So now we're going to do events. We're going to do things that you'll be proud to invite people to in order to introduce them to Gun Owners Radio, to San Diego County gun owners, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what's going on with the meetings. Okay, so this is kind of funny. We talked. We did a big segment with Gary, the attorney, on USCCA. Mm-hmm. And we talked about the one time they turned down a member, by the way. One time. Out of thousands of claims that they've covered successfully and helped people, they've turned down one person. Now, I can already hear a bunch of you going, no, there was another guy. No, the other guy actually decided to stay with his public defender. Actually wrote a letter saying, hey, I didn't want USCCA's help. I got a really good public defender. I'm good to go.
Right.
So there was one case where they pulled out because, frankly, the way it looked was that she gave her intention that she wanted to murder somebody.
And she got the insurance just before.
Bought a gun. She was not a gun owner prior. On the same day, got the insurance. And when USCCA found out that this looked like it was an intentional murder, they said, hey, you know what? We've already given you $50,000. We're not going to give you any more. I
have to say, as a member, I'm pretty proud that they did that.
Yeah, I agree with them. Yeah. So one of the big, and listen, USCCA, so, you got two parties here. You have a woman who was in a tough divorce, didn't seem to be any indicator that she was, being physically abused or her life was in danger or anything like that. She bought a gun. She became a gun owner like the rest of us, something that we all cherish and fight for. Not to protect herself, but to do something horrible to somebody else, and which basically is a threat to the thing that we cherish, the thing that we fight for. And then the other party, you have USCCA, who's trying to run a business. They put out educational videos. They certify instructors. They started a political arm. They have a PAC on the federal level. They have a publication. By all accounts, they're not Johnny-come-latelys to the gun neighborhood. They're legit gun people. And they did the best they could in that situation, which was an near impossible situation to navigate successfully. They did a good job. And the USCCA is not paying my rent. They're not giving me big money. There's nothing like that. I just calls them like I sees them. But there was one thing I agreed with the criticism of USCCA on, and that was they had this guy who was one of their spokespeople. I think he was like the main guy. I think he was kind of their main spokesman, and his name's Tim Kennedy. And Tim Kennedy, I agree. I don't understand why USCCA ever hired him to begin with. Now, I completely understand the guy is a legit veteran. He's a Special Forces veteran. He was a Green Beret in the Army. I'm sure he's great pulling a trigger, and fundamentally, he was in combat, and I'm sure he's a great instructor, et cetera, et cetera. But I'll be honest with you, he always just kind of struck me as a douchebag, and I never really liked him. So I just kind of stayed away and said, whatever. Didn't really affect my opinion on USCCA. I just didn't really think that was who they should have, gotten as a spokesperson. I just don't. He just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But whatever. A lot of people rub me the wrong way, and I'm sure I rub a lot of people the wrong way. I mean, it is what it is. But then more started to happen. He was in an interview. Tim Kennedy was in an interview, and said some pretty. He made some comments that you don't want to make when you're representing a company that defends guns and lobbies on behalf of guns and educates people who are instructors and that sort of thing. Do we have that? We have that clip. Let's play the clip.
Yeah, I think about it all the time.
Yeah.
And then we think about what the solution is. That's what I think. Yeah, I believe gun control is a massive solution.
Good.
I do not think that.
I didn't expect you to say that.
I don't think a 19-year-old kid should have access to an AR-15. I don't think, he should be able to buy a pistol. Fortunately, he can't. But if you can't buy a pistol, how can you buy a semi-automatic AR? That doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, great. That's not if you're a gun company of any kind, if you're in the gun world, that's not what you want your person saying. Now, it's not just as simple as Tim Kennedy's anti-gun. If you talk to some guy at work and you took him to the range and you shot your Glock and now he wants a Glock, but he's not so sure about ARs. He doesn't know if anybody should have an AR. The guy at the water cooler, is he anti-gun? Not really, right? He's kind of going through his journey. But this guy, Tim Kennedy, is actually the face of USCCA, and he's making those kind of comments. Like, that's not what you want. That is not who you want out in front. We certainly completely disagree with the gun ban he was suggesting, the age-based ban that he was suggesting, and then just the general idea that gun control is the solution. Some other things that happened with Tim, he I'm not going to go into detail on this because I just don't understand and I don't have enough knowledge around it. But he had made some comments about some awards or some recognition. I don't know the exact proper term, but some of the medals that he won while he was in or was awarded when he was in the Army didn't quite match up. The description he gave didn't quite match up, and a bunch of people jumped on him. It was people that were already looking for a reason to jump on him, but he legitimately said some things that were not accurate about his service record, and that rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So you got all this happening, and the USCCA thing's getting all fired up, and I even put it out there to USCCA, in a conversation and said, I think you should get rid of them. Not that they're going to listen to me, but here's what happened last week. The company Staccato. Are you familiar with Staccato, you guys?
I've heard of it.
Staccato. It used to be STI. STI made like these competition guns.
Right.
And one of the reasons STI was like the first to say, hey, we're not selling in California after they put the roster in. They said it just doesn't make financial sense. Well, they went through a little bit of a rebrand. Now they're Staccato. And I think I don't know if it was at SHOT or it was right around SHOT, but they put out a video that featured Tim Kennedy. It didn't even feature him. It was so short, but he was in it. And it backfired greatly. We got that video. Let's play it real quick.
Let me tell you about my best friend. He's a warm-hearted person who loved me till the end. People, let me tell you about my best friend. He's a one-boy cuddly toy, my up, my down, my pride and joy. People, let me tell you about him. He's so much fun.
That was it. That was all they featured was him. What was that? All of about 3 seconds?
If that.
And Staccato took it on the chin. They were viciously attacked. in the comments section. I mean, they absolutely ripped him apart to the point where they took the video down.
Wow.
But there were a bunch of it was an opportunity for a bunch of other companies to go in the comments section and distance themselves from Tim Kennedy. And for example, USCCA fired him. He's no longer a representative of USCCA. So, and I think, by the way, I think they had already made that decision. Someone had told me that he was gone before this whole thing happened, but they made a point of saying, yeah, Tim Kennedy's not our guy anymore. So Tim Kennedy, I don't know. It doesn't look like he's got a future in the Second Amendment community anymore. And like I said, he never rubbed me the right way. So it just wasn't somebody I was all that excited about. And then with his background and all the stupid things that he said and the way he put his foot in his mouth, I truly wish him the best of luck. And I hope he changes his views on some of the anti-gun stuff that he believes. So that's that. So everybody that was using that as an excuse to hate USCCA, it's gone now.
That video was so promising. Started with JP Sears. I was
I know.
excited.
He's hilarious. I didn't recognize the other two ladies. I don't know who
didn't
they
either.
are,
I don't either.
I don't either.
but I know who JP Sears is.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
I
How many
love
were
him.
you guys fooled by him when you first saw him?
No.
I was. I was like, is this? He was so ridiculous. I thought it was real.
Really?
No.
I believed his shtick. And I'm like a babe in the forest, you know?
So innocent.
I really am. Anyway, that's everything. That's all our Q's and our A's, and went a little extra with the USCCA and Tim Kennedy thing. So there you go. Let's do our lawsuits update.
All right. So this segment is our legal and legislative segment where we tell you what you need to know from the courts and from the legislators. But remember, I'm not a lawyer. Mike's not a lawyer. Neither is Desi. We are not here to give you legal advice, and all legal advice should come from a properly licensed California lawyer. Our sponsor, John Dillon, is a lawyer. John has been helping more and more people to fight those GVROs. In case you don't know, those are gun violence restraining orders. If you know someone that has had their self-defense rights taken away without due process, give John a call. His website is dillonlawgp.com, and his phone number is 760-642-7150.
Okay, is the Second Amendment only for some adults? Listen to why FPC is taking the battle to the ATF. So what's the problem? Well, right now, 18 to 20-year-olds, these are adults. These are sane, trained, law-abiding adults who are 18, 19, and 20 years old. They can't purchase handguns. There's a federal law. It's a federal ban.
There's a little loophole, but it's not common.
Which one are you talking about?
They have a hunting license.
Well, the other thing is they can possess, they just can't buy. It's like mom and dad could gift it to them or something like that. But this is specifically addressing the generally that 18, 19, and 20-year-olds can't purchase handguns.
But even then, with the hunting circumstances, it's very limited as to what they can even buy. So
There you go.
Yep.
Okay, so what's the background? Well, actually, let's start with that's the problem. So what's the solution? Well, FPC, Firearms Policy Coalition, who is just a monster. I mean, these guys are just absolutely monsters when it comes to Second Amendment lawsuits. They are doing such a good job. I'm so proud of them. I'm so proud to be a fan of theirs and talk to them regularly. They and Second Amendment Foundation, another fantastic organization, filed the Reese versus ATF. Reese versus ATF. They want to make it legal for adults of all ages to acquire handguns. So what's the background? Well, it lost at the district. This, by the way, was in the Fifth Circuit. And the district court, they lost. The judge said that it was constitutional, it was fine, that you could ban adults from a natural right. They were totally cool with it. But they won at the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals very recently. In fact, it was last week. The appeals court ruled that the Second Amendment is for all, and they actually said it's not. This is how they described it. They said it's not for, or it's not just for, quote unquote, an unspecified subset only. So they basically said, hey, this random ban that you have on 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds, that's not okay. They pointed out that an 18, 19, or 20-year-old American can join the military. They can sign contracts. So therefore, they should be able to purchase a firearm and exercise their right to keep and bear arms. Now, the district court that ruled against, they tried to argue that there's a tradition and a history of 18, 19, and 20-year-olds being banned from gun ownership. So they were using the Bruin, history tradition history, tradition, and text. They were using history and tradition to try to make their case. But the reality is it's actually the opposite. In fact, back when the Second Amendment was written, it was expected that 18, 19, and 20-year-olds, in fact, that all adults that were able-bodied had a firearm. So that in case, because they were the militia, and in case the militia ever needed to form and fight, then they had to show up at the town square with some kind of firearm where they could fight, an invader, tyranny, whatever was happening. So it was actually the complete and total opposite of what the district court said. I don't know where I don't know what they tried to do there. I don't know what they tried to pull. I think that they just frankly didn't like the case, and so they pulled an excuse out of thin air and tried to make it look official. Okay, so what's next? They could fight more. It's really up to the federal government. We have a whole new federal government now, right? Since the election. So they could decide, hey, it's over. We're not going to fight, and this will stand. There's no effect on the Ninth Circuit, unfortunately, because it's the Fifth Circuit. But we do actually have our own lawsuit that we're a part of. It used to be the Jones versus Bonta. Now it's the Chavez versus Bonta. We actually had to switch out plaintiffs because Jones is over 21 now. So we had to go find somebody who was 18, 19, or 20 years old. So who knows what might happen? And 100 different things could happen. I don't necessarily think this is a huge test for the new federal government or for the new Department of Justice. It's really, really complicated. I hate saying that. I hate it when someone just says, oh, it's really, really complicated, like it's something you won't understand. It's not that it's something that you don't understand. It's just that there are so many different variables from so many different people and so many different opinions that we don't know what they are. It's not that they're hard to understand, but there are just so many different possibilities that it could be. So keep your eye on it. We'll see. We'll keep in the know as far as what happens. But thank you, FPC and SAF. Fantastic job. Let's hope that it goes further, and let's hope that our case gets a similar decision. Okay, speaking of lawsuits, which is what we're speaking of, Snope versus Brown, that's the Maryland assault weapons case. There are actually two of them, but the most likely to have been heard by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court didn't take it. They just didn't take it. Now, that doesn't mean it's over, and there could be, again, 100 different reasons. It could be that a justice on the Supreme Court who wants to take it doesn't feel like this is the case to take. Maybe they know that they don't have the votes, Maybe they know something about the other justices that we don't know. Maybe the case isn't strong enough for them. Maybe they want to make an even stronger case on the Second Amendment, There's all kinds of different reasons that they didn't take the case.
And it may not be negative.
Right. And it may not have anything to do with Second Amendment. They may have said, hey, you know what? We only have a limited amount of space, and we just think these other things are a priority, and it'll just one more year, and we'll address this, but these other things are definitely a priority with the Trump administration coming or whatever. I don't know. Totally speculating here, but it's not over. They could still take this case. They might take another case. But we're not going to get a decision in 2025, but we might get one in 2026 if they decide to take the case. We'll see. Do invisible state lines rule over your Second Amendment rights? No. Now, anybody in any state can get a California CCW. So listen to hear why CRPA versus the LA Sheriff changed things. So as it stands, or how it did stand until this decision came, is that California refused to issue CCWs to anybody who was not a California resident. So CRPA and SAF, Second Amendment Foundation, sued the LA Sheriff's Department and said, hey, you are violating the Second Amendment rights of people outside of California. If somebody comes into California, they still have their Second Amendment rights. They should be able to carry. And if you're making people get a permit to carry, that's the only way they can exercise their right to carry, then you have to issue them a permit. So believe it or not, the court agreed. The judge agreed. So out-of-state people can get a CCW It's going to take about 90 days for it to fully implement, but the judge actually said, hey, look, you guys need to come up with a process. And they actually made them write down a process and say, hey, this is what exactly is required. Some of the things that are required are you must be a member of CRPA, Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America, or Gun Owners of California, because they were the ones that were directly, they were plaintiffs on the case. So they were, the case was on behalf of their members. So you have to be a member of those organizations. You can sign up right now. You can sign up tomorrow, whatever. But when you apply, you got to be a member because they were the plaintiffs. I think, and then everything else is pretty much the same. You don't have to actually come to the state to apply or in any part of the process, but everything else is pretty much the same. They do a background check. You have to pay a fee, submit fingerprints. It's all pretty much the same. But I really do think that this might be a positive for Californians. I think that if they're making this, because the answer is like, well, who cares? I'm in California, so why would I care if somebody from 49 other states get a California CCW? Well, I think that the fact that they're able to get it remotely, from another state, from the other 49 states, I think that's going to make our process easier. I think it's going to force them to put more money behind the DOJ so they have to process these. I think that it puts more pressure. I think that it's good as far as, the messaging, the community, the public, I think that it's good all the way around, even though it doesn't maybe necessarily directly benefit us. I think eventually it's going to make things even better for California. And I've actually already helped somebody with their CCW. He is a guy who was renewing. It's because of the lawsuit, which is great. But he had a CCW, he had a California CCW. He moved out of state, and then they said, sorry, we can't renew you. And talked to the sheriff's department, said, hey, check out this lawsuit, this decision. And boom, he's getting his permit. So I think he's going to be the first guy. I think he's going to be the first guy to get his permit thanks to this lawsuit. So thank you so much, CRPA, SAF, GOA, and GOC for doing a fantastic job. So if you know anybody, give them about another 30, maybe 60, maybe as many as 90 days, and then have them apply. There's going to be a lot more information out. Like I said, there is a 90-day time period, but if you know somebody outside of the state of California, they want a California CCW, let's have them apply. In fact, I think we should flood them. I think we should absolutely flood the state of California with out-of-state CCW permit applications. Will this eliminate the impact of the safe handgun roster? California's de facto handgun ban is on the ropes. Here's why Firearms Policy Coalition may have a different route to kill the roster. So FPC is at it again. These guys are absolutely wonderful. They do such a great job. And what they are doing is they are suing it's in the Fifth Circuit in Texas. And it's FPC and it's Elite Precision Customs versus ATF. And the lawsuit's part of FPC's high-impact strategic litigation program, which aims to eliminate unconstitutional laws and create a world of maximal liberty. Maximal liberty. I love their language. Maximal liberty is good, and then the other one is they talk about peaceable people a lot. I like that phrase, peaceable. Quote, this lawsuit challenges the federal ban on interstate transfers of handguns from federally licensed dealers to individuals who are otherwise eligible to purchase and possess a handgun for lawful purposes, but cannot purchase directly from a dealer because they don't live in the same state as the dealer. That's what the complaint says. So what they're trying to do is right now, if you live in California, you can only buy any firearm in California. You can buy something from out of state, but it still eventually has to go through a California FFL, and that's the same in every state. That's a federal law. So if you're in Nevada, you got to buy from a Nevada FFL. If you're in Tennessee, you got to buy from a Tennessee FFL, et cetera, et cetera. Quote, FPC and our courageous co-plaintiffs are proud to take on the federal government and fight forward to bring this evil ban scheme to its end, says FPC President Brandon Combs, who is an absolute warrior when it comes to Second Amendment. Brandon has been at it for a long time, and he is not messing around. And he heads up FPC, he's the president, and they are going after this hardcore. This important case is part of our broader strategic litigation efforts to eliminate laws that deny the right of peaceable people. There it is. There's that term again. To exercise their right to acquire, possess, and carry arms while outside of their state of residence. Okay, that's great, but what's that going to do for us? Okay, so we have this safe handgun roster in California, right? And if it's not on the safe handgun roster, you can't buy it.
Because it's not safe.
Because it's unsafe. Cops can buy it; they can buy unsafe, but we can't. Us, some people are a little bit more equal than others. Now, imagine if you could just go to Arizona or go to Nevada or go to any of the other 49 states and get a gun that's not on the safe handgun roster. This is, I think, potentially, and that's not what they don't state. That's their purpose. And I can't read their mind, so I don't know. But I got to tell you, I think that this case is going to be, if not the death nail, one of the death nails in the coffin of the roster, which is already dying a
Slow death.
slow death, not a fast enough death for me, to be honest with you.
I hope it's a painful one.
Me too.
So FBC, awesome job. We're gonna continue to look at Elite Precision Customs versus ATF and watch how this proceeds. All they did is file. They're not in front of a judge yet. They haven't made their case yet. A judge hasn't ruled, and it takes hundreds of thousands of dollars and many years. If you want to do a lawsuit, people ask me all the time, "Hey, what about a lawsuit doing this?" I say, "Great. Find me $500,000 and give me 10 years, and we'll get there." Donate a couple of shekels to the old FPC. They've earned it, man. They are really doing great work. So we hope that helps us get rid of our roster problem. This is kind of an end around. It's kind of an indirect way of doing it. All right, and that is all you need to know this week.
All right. That's our legal and legislative segment.
Badoom. Okay, Not Me is our program for women, by women, and its purpose is to stop or prevent domestic violence and sexual assault by making sure that any woman who contacts us gets help buying a gun, getting training, and obtaining a CCW. If any part of that is cost prohibitive, we find a grant or a discount. Today, we're going to talk to the project administrator, Desi Bergman. But first, this segment is sponsored by Cargo, Cases and Rugged Gear Outfitters in El Cajon. CargoStores.com. Visit them online, CargoStores.com, or go see them live, 423 Broadway in El Cajon. If you need to protect your gear while you're on the go, look no further. Cargo has the perfect case for you. So if you need to protect it and you want it customized, Cargo is the place to go. Use code GOR for 10% off their website or mention Gun Owners Radio or SDCGO at the store. You'll get 10% off there. I think it's everything in the store, which is awesome.
Everything, yeah.
Great products, great prices, and uncommonly good service. Cases and Rugged Gear Outfitters. Desi, how are you?
I'm good, Mike. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for visiting us here in the new bunker.
I know. I like the new bunker. I was very impressed whenever I walked in for the first time.
I know, right? It looks very official.
It is very official. I like the studio.
Yeah. So you're the project manager for Not Me.
NOTMESD, correct.
And how I don't even remember.
5 years this year.
That's amazing.
Can you believe it? You've been with me for that long?
I've been with you for that long. That's exactly right. For 5 years.
5 years.
Yes. And you've been doing a fantastic job. I don't think people really truly realize, I'd like to brag about you a little bit. I don't think people really truly realize, first off, there is an enormous amount of work that goes into Not Me and that whole project. Recruiting ambassadors to help the women, helping the women when they find us and say, "Hey, I need help," and then making sure the message gets out so that we find more women. Enormous amount of work, and then even on top of that, you still make sure that the shooting socials go off without a hitch. You do a bunch of admin that helps keep the train on the tracks when it comes to San Diego County gun owners. I don't think people realize just how hard you work and how dedicated you are to the cause. And thank you so much for all your hard work and dedication.
Thanks for having me. It's great to work so hard for a cause I believe in so much.
And a super cool boss is the other thing.
I mean, he's okay. I don't know about a super cool boss, but yeah, he's okay.
Is it fulfilling? Is it a fulfilling job?
Of course.
What's the best part?
The best part is when I can help women through the program and I just feel the gratitude from being helped. And I love, the shooting socials are probably one of my favorite parts of the job, right? Because I love seeing new shooters come in where they're so scared and Desi, I want to touch a gun. And you can just see the fear in their eyes. And at the end of it, they're dancing, they're having fun because, you know, they're learning how to shoot and they've had a great time. And I just love seeing that fear kind of be mitigated over time and for them to experience that.
And it's so, and we do at least 2 shooting socials a month,
If not 3.
sometimes 3, but at least 2.
Correct.
And there's at least about 10 in one and about 20 in the other, somewhere around there.
So it's 12 normally the second Saturday. And then when we work with Guns N' Moses, that's about 18.
Okay, so that's a lot of people every month.
So it's 30 people per month.
Yeah, and we've been doing this for like 8 or 9 years.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, I know at one point I sat down and tried to figure out exactly how many people went through these shooting socials. And it was, my estimate back then was over 10,000.
Yeah, it's
Just
a lot.
in San Diego, which is a lot of people. I remember, man, we were doing a ton of them and we just decided, you know what, that's when at some point we decided that it's just every second Saturday because we were starting from scratch. Every time somebody said, hey, I want to do this, we'd, you know, pick
There's
a new
such
time and a new place and a new
Such
day.
a need for it though. Like people love to learn how to shoot. I mean, and taking classes like, you know, here at Discount Gun Mart can be expensive compared to you pay, you know, $60 for our shooting socials. You get the one-on-one mentorship. And what I love too about our shooting socials, Mike, is we have a lot of repeat mentors because they just love like teaching people. And so you have guys that will sign up like for the year out because they want to come and they just literally schedule their schedules because they want to be here like every Saturday that they can. And I love our mentors and I love the passion that they feel as well.
Yeah, and you're right. It is expensive to take a class, but I don't. This isn't a substitute.
No.
for that.
We always tell them that. Like, we want them to go on and take classes from here. This is an introduction to firearms.
Right. So this helps people become comfortable. Like, if they're about to invest, you know, 100, 200, whatever. How many? I don't know. What's a class these days?
$200-$300 depending on what kind of class it is, right?
Yeah, well, it really depends on how much time you're looking at. But yeah, essentially, including ammo and everything. Yeah, a couple $100.
Couple few $100.
Yep, I'm not
so
cheap.
Before they make that big investment,
Correct.
they get to
Yes.
come to us, spend an hour, hour and a half,
2 hours.
2 hours,
Yep.
and they have a safe first-time shooting experience.
Correct.
And
this is,
that'll help them decide: do I want to take that next step,
or do I not?
or do I not?
Right. And I think it's a great introduction for someone that just wanting to kind of dabble their feet a little bit, right? Like, let's just tap our feet in the water and then see what we want to do from here.
Yeah, big toe at the deep end.
Yeah, they're just like, I don't know, is it cold? Is it not? Do I want to do this? Do I want to jump in, right? But what I love seeing is people, once they kind of, go to these shooting socials, like people might come back, right? Because they love their experience so much. But then they do go on and take more classes and they learn. And then they come back, they buy a gun, and they come back and mentor themselves. And I love the kind of full circle of life here.
And and those are the shooting socials, which is separate from Not Me. A lot of people get them kind of confused or
I know.
conflate them.
Well, one of the reasons why is
That's my word of the day. Conflate. Yeah,
Did you
they
make that up?
conflate them. No, it was on my little toilet paper word of the day.
It's actually a word.
So conflate, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
we do a shooting social specifically for Not Me SD every other month. So we have the one that's general where anybody can attend, which is men and women, but it's typically 75% women anyways. And then we also have the one that is specifically for the women of Not Me SD. And we did that because we saw a need for women wanting it to be like a safe environment. They wanted it just to be women. And so that's why we kind of started to alternate between the two of them.
there you go, which is awesome. So Not Me, the program, how do you describe when people ask, well, gee, what's the difference between like some of the other women's groups or women's programs? Like what makes Not Me different?
So I kind of say that every type of women's shootings group has a different stage in a woman's kind of shooting progress, right? So you look at Not Me SD as kind of a starting point. This is the, hey, I want to get my feet wet. I don't know where to go.
Yeah.
They're not like you or I where we have a phone book full of people that I can call and say, hey, Mike, what kind of gun should I get today? Or where should I do my training at, right? So these women don't have a resource like what we do to kind of reach out to and learn more about firearms. So we're the starting point to kind of introduce them and to kind of start guiding them through that firearms journey, right? Women on Target is kind of like one of our shooting socials, right? But they get the combination of rifle, pistol, and shotgun. So very similar to what we do, except we expand and we kind of hold their hand more or less through the journey. And then a girl and a gun is a great kind of step after they've gone through Not Me SD. And so it's kind of like when I say they've graduated
Yeah.
and they want to learn more, that's where they go to.
Yeah, it's a little bit more of a hands-on program.
Right.
There's an intention to get to an end point.
Correct.
It's not just an intro or whatever. Which, by the way, all these groups do a great job.
They do a great job. Correct.
A Girl and a Gun does a fantastic job. It's just a little bit different flavor.
Just a little bit.
And they're not competitive. They're more complementary. They kind of work together.
Yeah. Again, they have their own flavor, right? So they do different types of specialty classes. They do, which we do too as well. But they're more or less for the women that have already purchased a gun, right? And they've kind of already progressed through the firearms journey, and now they're wanting to continue their education. Yeah. We want to get them to the first step, which is, get them interested, get them shooting, and we want to kind of help them buy a gun for the first time. We want to help them get their CCW right. And from there, it's kind of like spread your wings now and let's find you a different shooting group and get you to continue your education.
Yeah, get them a gun, get them training, get them a permit, and then there's a ton of different directions they could go. And hopefully, one of the directions that they could go is to never do any more training ever again. We don't want that.
No, we don't want
to encourage them to do.
We want them to continue their education,
which is where like a Girl and a Gun would come in, or some of the other classes, or whatever. And you do a bunch of other stuff. This was never part of the plan either, and you added it. You do a bunch of other classes, kind of enrichment classes, above and beyond. You've done like pepper spray and situational awareness and stuff. What's the next one's coming up?
So the next class that Alicia and I actually have coming up is going to be a malfunctions and dry fire class. Oh, wow. So the reason why I saw a need for these different classes is because we have a wide range of women that actually come through NOTMESD, from, I've had 15-year-old girls coming through with their moms on up to, women where their husbands have passed away and they have this whole safe now full of guns from their husbands, and they want to learn how to shoot and they want to learn how to protect themselves. But there are certain times where I felt that it's not maybe appropriate for them to have a firearm based off of maybe like strength or maybe mindset. And so having more tools, what we always say, in their tool belt to defend themselves, just kind of evolved into, all right, well, let's try a first class and let's see how it goes. And then these classes that we've done, over the past couple of years have been widely successful. And so that's why we continue to offer them, because we know that firearms, of course, is our specialty and that's what we want to concentrate on. But, offering like a pepper spray and situational awareness class, pepper spray is less than lethal defense. And so if you can, use that instead of a firearm, right? And so we've also done Stop the Bleed and, many different types of courses. And women seem to like it because now we're continuing their education, kind of building on that foundation of firearms.
Nice. And you're teaching that class, Alicia?
Yeah, I'll be running it.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm
Tell us everything about what's the class. Oh, you're the assistant?
Yeah.
My trusty assistant.
What are they going to learn? What kind of class is it?
So we're going to combine essentially two different training tools. One is going to be, we're going to talk about dry fire. We're going to talk about what it is, why we should do it, how to do it, and we're going to give them some time on safely made firearms in a classroom so they can kind of practice and see how it works and to see the value in it. And then we're also going to spend some time talking about malfunctions. We're going to cover both type 1, 2, 3. We'll talk about squibs and hangfires. We'll learn how to identify it. Then we'll learn how to solve it, how to fix it. And then we will also have a portion of a discussion too as to how to prevent it from happening in the first place. So just kind of how to prevent all the issues. And should you ever have one of those issues, how to safely clear it.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah,
that's it.
Great class. First time we're doing
cool.
it, and I think it'll be a really fun one.
Is there any room left?
We got room.
Is it sold out?
It's not sold out. We've still got a few spots left. So if you want to check it out, just go to our website and you can see all of the opportunities on there.
And by the way, if you're interested, you don't have to have your own firearm.
No,
So
we have some
Cool.
too that
don't
we'll
let
provide.
that stop you.
Yeah. I got to say, one of the things I ask, especially someone I haven't met who's running for office. So when I talk to candidates, one of the things I ask them is, I say, hey, is the world a better place because of gun ownership? And man, that cuts right to, you know what I mean? There's no
right to the chase.
Yeah,
there.
there's no mealy mouth in that.
No.
So it really truly gets to the heart of their fundamental beliefs. The reality is it is a better place. I learned from women, long ago that they live in a very different world. That the stories you guys tell about interactions, when you go out, is very different. I think men, we generally feel safe. Nobody really messes with us. In fact, I would go so far to say most men, we just get ignored.
Right.
We go outside, nobody cares about us at all. Like we just kind of do our thing.
Just Mike.
But women, you guys get stared at and approached, and it's crazy. You guys, we truly live in a completely different world.
Women are seen as easier targets. And because of that, we have to learn how to protect ourselves even more than, say, what men would. I mean, look at me. Like, I might not seem like I'm, might be innocent. You might maybe try to attack me. But when it comes down to it, I'm a CCW holder. I do boxing. I've done Krav Maga, right? And so everything that I teach our women, I also do myself because I practice what I preach. And I love that.
But what you're doing and what this program does is making a better, safer community.
We are empowering women to take their safety into their own hands and to not have to count on, say, a man to protect them.
Yeah.
And these women that come through the program, like, originally we started off, Mike, like you said, where we were helping women who've been victims of domestic violence and sexual assault, right? Yep. Like, that has been our mission since day one. But what we've seen kind of evolve over the last few years is that women are coming to us who are just looking for help again because they don't have resources like us to be able to reach out to and learn how to protect themselves or to learn about firearms.
Yeah.
So I'd say probably 1 in 4 women who come through NOTMESD have been a victim of domestic violence.
But it's not a requirement. In fact,
no, it's not a requirement anymore. And
well, it never was a requirement. No. We're hoping to get you before anything like that happens.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
That's why we're trying to prevent these things from happening by teaching women about firearms, by teaching them about pepper spray and situational awareness, and kind of by helping these women through the program. We're trying to, of course, prevent that, but we're also trying to help with the aftermath and empowering them when something has happened. And Mike, one thing that you'll notice too by talking with these women that have been through the program is every woman has a story, right? And a lot of times, like, they may or may not tell you about these stories. And I remember one of the first times we did a women's self-defense Krav Maga class. Yeah. This was a class where there was about 30 women in there, and this was, about 3 years ago. And a lot of these women were ambassadors. They were women that I had become friends with through the program. And as we were doing like these different situations, I could see some of them kind of stepping aside. And I was like, hey, how's it going? They're like, Desi, this is what happened to me, right? And so what you start to realize again is that sometimes these stories that have happened, like, they don't always talk about them. And so you just have to be very sensitive to these women and just understanding that even though they might not tell you what's happened, there's a story there and there's a reason why they've come to you, whether it's just I want to learn just to protect myself because the world is getting crazier, or this has happened to me.
So they're going through like a self-defense thing, and it brought up memories, or it brought up like
it triggered
some things that had happened to them in the past.
Yep.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
These things trigger.
And the numbers are staggering. When you start, I remember you see them on some of the websites, but we started pulling numbers. When you started looking at some of the numbers, it is staggering how many
1 in 3 women will be a victim of domestic violence or sexual assault at some point in a lifetime.
Wow.
So, Mike, think about the women in your life, right? Think about your mom, your sister, right? Like any of these women that you're really close to. Think of Alicia and myself. 1 in 3 women in your life will be a victim at some point in their lifetime.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about you, but I'm doing everything that I can to protect these women in my life that I care about, and protecting them, helping teach them how to shoot, right? Like, I want to make sure that I've done everything that I can to say, hey, I did it.
Well, my sister's one. I hope she doesn't mind me telling this story, but my sister is one of the women who I learned that they live in a different world. Mm-hmm. She had somebody follow her once, and she was driving. This guy was following her. And she did something really smart. She went on to, it was federal land.
Oh, wow.
And they had their own federal cops. It was actually a military base that you didn't have to have an ID card to access. It was just military property. So there was military cops that were patrolling it. And she knew that if you go 1 or 2 miles an hour over the speed limit, you're going to get pulled over.
Oh, wow.
So she went there and sped on purpose, like exceeded the speed limit. And the cop pulled her over, and she said, here's what's going on. And sure enough, they nabbed this guy, and he had been guilty of harassing other women. I forget the exact, but he'd harassed other women. And there was she had another story where some guy, it was like a Walmart parking lot. Some guy was saying, hey, there's something wrong with your car. And she was like, oh, what are you talking about? And he was trying to get her to like crawl under her own car or something. It was really weird.
That is really weird. Was he going to try to run her over or something?
Well, I think he was trying to put her in a vulnerable position, and then who knows? But she reported this guy. And anyway, she's one of the women in my life who really, truly made me realize that that's not even something I think about when I go outside. It's not even
because you don't have to.
I don't have to. Nobody's trying to violate me. Nobody's trying to attack me. No one's trying to hurt me.
But think about when you're vulnerable and you're putting groceries in the trunk of your car. You're not really paying attention, right?
Right.
And a lot of times when these attacks happen, those are situations where they have happened. So whenever we teach this pepper spray class and like situational awareness, right, we're teaching to be aware of your surroundings. Like a lot of times you'll be walking out, on your cell phone, like just like texting away, like not even paying attention. And that's when you're the most vulnerable, is when you're not paying attention to your surroundings. So putting groceries in the trunk of your car or just diddly-daddling around, right? Even say if you're out running and you have your earbuds on, like keep one of them off so you can, be aware and like listening to your surroundings.
Yeah.
I mean, all the women in my life get pepper spray in their stockings for Christmas because
Yeah,
I'm just
pepper spray.
pepper spray or bullets. Like, let's go to the range. Like, here's your Christmas present. Let's go to the range together.
What are you carrying as far as pepper spray these days?
The palm pepper spray.
Yeah.
That's the one that we train with, and it's because they have what they call inerts, so we can actually use the water ones and practice with them. And I think that those are really great, and they come in different variations, different colors, right? So,
I gotta get some palm. I used to carry a Mace, Mace brand. And I used to leave it as a tip for waitresses a lot. Because I'd take it out of my pocket, I'd put it on, I'm eating, I'd put it on the table while I'm eating or whatever, and inevitably it'd come up, and I would just I'd say, here, you need to keep this.
I don't know how many times I've been like out somewhere and I've met like a new female and they're talking about like, oh yeah, I do this, and I'm walking around at night and I'm like, well, do you carry pepper spray? No. And I just take mine out of my purse and I just hand it to them.
There
I'm
you
just
go.
like, here you go. And they're like, what? I was like, keep this because I want you to protect yourself. And
Now, what's like a success story? Is there a favorite? What do you got?
I actually love this one that just
All right.
came in last week, and it comes top of mind because this lady is so sweet. So I'm not going to use her real name. We're just going to call her Becky. All right.
Becky.
So Becky started coming to our shooting socials about 1.5 years ago, and Becky is the sweetest, most kindest person that you will ever meet, and she just has like the softest voice, and she's just like, Desi, I want to learn how to shoot. I'm here. And I'm like, great, we're going to do this together. And so she started coming to our shooting socials and, started getting the itch. And so we helped her buy her first gun and, helped her get into her training, which was great. Applied for her CCW, which we always want her to do. And then she attended our pepper spray class at North County Shooting Center with Patrick, right? And so one of the things that we taught at that class was how to use your voice, right? Like if you're in a situation, like, cuss or yell and, use your voice to be loud. And she would not do it, Mike. Like, she was just so innocent. Like, no, Desi, I can't cuss. I can't do that. And so what we did was we took her out onto the range, just the three of us, and we told her to do it. And so she was just out there, like, yelling and cussing. And she was like, oh, my gosh, I can't do this. And so it was just so funny because you could just see her personality was just so innocent. But she was like, Desi, I did it. I used my voice. And I'm like, yes, you did. I'm so proud of you, right? And so she was kind of just funny because of how innocent and soft and sweet she was at this class. But so she helped buy her gun. We got her through some of our training classes. She applied for her CCW. And then last week I get an email from her. She's like, Desi, I just got my CCW in the mail.
Nice.
And so she's one of the very best success stories that I've had because she's gone from start to finish through the program. She takes advantage of all the classes that we offer. And I love the fact that she has her CCW now.
It's awesome, and it's high touch, and it's something I wanted it to be high touch when we were developing this program. Because I was a part of a lot of different mentor, like first time experience or whatever, and then they'd go away and you never see them again.
Right.
And I thought, you know what, they're not going to go get a gun. Like we need to really help
we need
them
to
through.
keep them accountable for that, and that's one thing that the ambassadors do as they help these women through the program is sometimes they might forget and be like, oh no, I don't want to do this. So we have to stay on top of them. Like I want these women to go out and buy a gun. I want them to get their CCW, and so keeping them accountable is one of our main points of things that we have to do.
Well, good job, Becky. I'll do air quotes. Good job, Becky.
Yes.
I'm glad. Maybe that's something I could help with. We have a lot of instructors. Alicia, you have your areas of expertise. There's a lot of different instructors that have their areas of expertise. Maybe I could help develop a class where I'm an instructor and I could teach them how to cuss. It sounds like I could do 20 minutes on the F word alone.
I'm sure we all could. So it's just,
It's a gift, Mike.
It is a gift. It is a gift. Here's the different ways that you can use the F word.
I don't know, man. I think I could throw creativity in there that you guys had no idea existed. Awesome job, Desi. Very, very cool. Everybody, if you could, go to notmeca.org, notmeca.org, and give us a little donation. $5, $10, $100, whatever you can do. Desi's got big plans this year.
I do have big plans for this year.
And so we're trying to fund those plans. She wants to do a lot more outreach. She wants to do all kinds of she wants to revamp the website. There's a lot of things she wants to do, and all of it has to do with getting more women in the door through this program so they can do even more. And I got to tell you, all the hard work Desi's done, she's earned it. So go to notmeca.org, give us a couple of bucks, and let Desi go to work for you. So thank you, Desi.
Thanks, Mike.
Awesome job.
Speaking of donations, real quick, we have a thank you to throw to Mike White. on
Mike
YouTube.
White, the man. Thank you, sir. Thank you for listening. Super fan Mike White. He's always so generous. Thank you so much. Awesome job. Okay.
All right.
We can do a bumper or just go to the story.
Rich is sleeping.
Producer
Taking
Rich
a nap.
falling asleep.
Taking a nap.
Bumper. Okay. All right. Curtain call. Every week we find a defensive gun use story, and Alicia tells us the ins and outs. She's Alicia Curtin, so we call it Curtain Call. This week, Michigan man defends home in intense shootout with burglar. What do we got?
Burglar. It's a scary one.
Really?
So it's an article. It comes out, as you stated, out of Michigan. The article, if you would like to do a quick search, it was posted on concealednation.org.
Okay.
And it's actually a very recent story. It was just released just last week. And essentially, just to summarize, we have a trio of friends, a couple. They're young, and a friend of theirs. They all three went on a trip. They had just gotten home from being out of town for a while. Got home that first night home. They were sleeping sound in their bed, resting up from their long trip. The pair, the man and the woman, they were in bed asleep, and then their friend, third wheel, was on the couch or sleeping in the living room. And so what happened is, it's a scary thing. An intruder came in, broke in through the kitchen window with a firearm.
Wow.
So scary.
That is scary. I mean, it really is truly terrifying.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think people really truly realize just how terrifying that is.
You know, I felt violated enough when I had someone break into my vehicle.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't imagine. I'm thankful I've never had them come into my home.
It
But it's
is.
violating enough to know that they've been in my vehicle.
It is. It sounds
Yeah.
cliche, and I don't think people can really truly understand the experience.
And I hope they never have to.
I hope they never have to. Someone broke into my stupid Jeep one time.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, how do you break into a Jeep? You just open the door, right? I mean, it's not that secure. But it was violating. You're in your Jeep going, oh my God,
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. Someone I kind of can. We kind of had a weird experience, but I can tell that story right now. But someone breaking in is terrifying.
Absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
Not only did he break in, but he broke in. He had his own handgun. He had it out. He first came across the front in the living room, had him at gunpoint. Voices were raised. It woke up the boyfriend that was in the bedroom sleeping. It woke him up. The first thing he did is he went for his handgun. So he he made a point to say that he had to rack his slide, and he just kind of hunkered down in the bedroom and waited.
It was the right thing to do.
He waited. So, and we'll talk a little bit about this here in a moment. I feel like he could have gone even further and done even better, but I am
Okay.
glad that he didn't go out and kind of look.
Yeah.
Right, he did wait. So, what happened is the burglar, right, had come in, opened up that bedroom door, and it just opened fire. And so then we had a volley of rounds going back and forth.
Wow.
All three in that room were hit. So the guy that broke in with the firearm was hit. Our defender, the boyfriend, was hit. He was hit twice. His girlfriend, asleep in the bed behind him, was hit once, and she still has that round lodged in her chest. They can't safely surgically remove it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's terrifying in and
So
of itself.
it is. It's very scary. So the guy that broke in
Yeah.
was arrested. Just to double check, maybe verify. Yeah, he was arrested and charged. And he faces a 21 count indictment, including
Wow.
charges of assault with intent to murder and armed robbery.
What state was this? Do we know what state
Michigan.
it was? In Michigan.
Michigan.
Oh, that's right. I read that.
Yeah.
It was in Michigan.
Yeah, Dearborn Heights, Michigan. Correct.
Do we have video on this?
There is a video.
No?
But
No, we don't have video.
We don't have
Okay.
it queued up. But yeah, just do a quick Concealed Nation search. They do have home security camera footage of the incident. You see the shots and the volleys going back and forth. What I'd like to some observations and thoughts that I had as I was watching this. First of all, the boyfriend heard raised voices. He heard threats. He heard this situation happening. He knew his friend was alone in the living room, or should have been, right? So this clearly was not a good thing. He could hear it. He did go for his firearm, which I'm thankful, first of all, that he had it. I'm thankful he was able to get to it pretty quickly. I'm not sure what defense or what storage law is in Michigan, but he was able to get to that firearm pretty quickly. But what he did not do, and I wish he could have or would have done, is he didn't bother to wake up or to warn or to say a darn thing to his girlfriend. He let her lay there asleep in bed.
In his defense, I've woken up women sometimes, and I got to tell you, it's not a good idea. It's not. If you can avoid it, I mean,
I
in his
wish he would have
defense,
let her maybe, hey, roll over, maybe get on the other side of the bed, something.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know that it would have made a difference.
You try to just solve the problem and then wake him up and let
true.
him know.
That's true.
That's actually, seriously, in all seriousness, that is the most bizarre thing I've ever heard. He just like sat there. He's like, I'll just take care of this.
Yeah, and you see in the video, he just stands there. He's kind of out of bed. He's in his chonies and a t-shirt, and he's just kind of stand there, aimed at the bedroom door, just waiting.
That probably fear. It's probably fear.
Probably wasn't thinking.
Probably didn't even think about it.
Right. That's it. But I'm thankful he had the firearm. I think he was able to get to it fast. He did have to chamber that round, and he took care of business. And not only did he take care of business, but you think about it, he was hit twice. Once in the leg, and that round battered his foot. I guess the reconstructive surgery was pretty extensive.
Jeez.
And he did have a second round that did get lodged in his back and his shoulder.
My God.
So thing is, you've been hit twice. He wasn't out of the fight. He still continued that fight. He stayed in it. And you have to have, if you listen to active self-protection, John Curry talks a lot about mental and spiritual fitness, right? Yeah. So this guy, he was hit twice, but he still fought back. He still stayed in the fight. He did fire back. And he was able to incapacitate the guy to a point to where he wasn't able to get away. He was arrested. And the shots did eventually cease. So he protected himself and his girlfriend.
Wow. Good
It's
for him.
scary. Yeah. My car was bad enough.
Yeah, really. I'd imagine that dude he's probably a couple of free passes with the girlfriend now.
I would hope so.
You know what I mean? Maybe he forgets to take out the garbage a couple of times. It's okay now. It's okay.
Yeah.
So he's in Michigan. Anything else?
Correct.
Do we know what he used? Do we know what?
And the video is not clear enough to try to be able to see that. I was trying to figure that out. I can't.
Do we know
tell.
if he had any training? Did he make any statement?
No mention, but based on, fear, adrenaline, anxiety, all those things can really play a role, and our training can sometimes go out the window. Based on his technique, I don't know that he had a whole lot of training, but maybe he did, and it just wasn't used.
I mean,
no mention.
A gun is the great equalizer.
Yep.
I mean, training is
and
better.
He did good
than
enough.
Training is better than not having training.
Yeah.
But even if you have a level of comfort with that firearm and you're in a bad situation, it's better than not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, I understand. There's a lot of scenarios that you could probably paint and say, hey, you can make it worse. If you don't have any training, you don't know what you're doing. I get it. But it really, truly is just the great equalizer. You don't have to be, SEAL Team 6 to defend yourself with a firearm.
Right.
But it's a whole lot better if you are. So get as much training as you possibly can.
Yeah, he had his whole hand up on the slide.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Again, could have been nerves.
I know.
This guy could have just been scared.
I know. But no, he did good enough.
Good for that guy.
Give him all the points. Yep.
Good. Anything else you want to say about that dude?
That's all I had, unless you had something that you...
I don't, but good for him.
Does he have any thoughts? What do you think about not waking her up? How do you feel about that?
I would have woken her up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have been a little pissed if I would have seen my boyfriend standing there with a gun being like, wait a second, where's mine?
At least give me... That'd be the only thing that I would love to see. Like, maybe at least have her get behind the dresser. Give her some type of... By no means is a dresser.
The bed. Right?
Something. Maybe
Wait, did
something.
you say she got injured? Was she shot?
She was shot in the
Is
chest.
that how she woke up?
Yes.
I mean, that would be
then
an awful way to wake
That's
up.
not
how
a
she
good
woke
way
up.
to wake
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, you see her laying there in the bed, sleeping, and the shot goes
That
off.
changes everything. He should have woken her up.
Wake me up. Let me hide underneath the bed. Give
Something.
me another gun so I
Right.
can help. And
There's
could have
cover and there's
eliminated-
cover and there's concealment. At least give her the chance of one of those two.
Give her a fighting chance here.
That actually, in all seriousness, that is really the reason. Like, she possibly could have been hiding somewhere
Right.
a little bit better.
And then she would have been shot and have a bullet lodged in her chest now that they can't get out safely.
Right.
All right, that dude just lost all the all the goodwill of diffusing the situation and defending her.
I'd be kind of pissed if I was the girlfriend.
I was gonna say
I would not be happy with him.
now she's living with a 9mm in her.
Sounds like it also passed
chest
through
or
her
whatever it
kidney. There's kind of a mention of the kidney, but it's lodged in the chest. So
Oh my God.
I know.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad they're both okay, and I'm so sorry they went through this. But I'm so glad he was prepared and had a firearm. He was one of the, back to our gun truth. He was one of the 2/3, right? No. He was one of the 1/3.
There's a lot of math.
2/5. There was 2/5 of the convicts surveyed said they'd encountered an armed victim at least once. So
That's
he
it.
was one of the 2/5.
That's it. And I'm glad he wasn't another statistic.
All right, cool. There you go. Curtain call. Thank you, Alicia.
You're welcome.
Awesome job. Okay, deployment. Red, White, and Badass Brew sponsors our deployment section. This is where we tell you where we need you to be this week or next or coming up to be an activist. We try to make activism easy, and we have all kinds of different opportunities for you, and we're going to talk about them. Sponsored by Red, White, and Badass Brew. Go to rwbbcoffee.com, rwbbcoffee.com, and use GOR to get 15% off. You can buy some really delicious coffee. Or if you want to, go check out our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/gunownersradio, and you can see us interview Dustin from Red, White, and Badass Brew. It was a really interesting interview.
He's a good guy.
He is a good guy.
I like him.
So check it out. Okay, first one. Learning the how to shoot is the easy part. Learning when and how to navigate a defensive gun use incident is the hard part. Learn from a national expert, Massad Ayoob, at the class, Armed Citizens Rules of Engagement. This is on March 8th and 9th. We still have a lot of room. Knowledge is your best defense. Massad Ayoob is an absolute legend. You're just not going to get any better than this guy. And this is an outstanding class. Sign up at gunownersradio.com. You just click on the link for Mastering Self-Defense to sign up. Plenty of room. Don't miss it. You're going to regret it if you do. March 8th and 9th. This is just for the lecture. Live fire sold out quick.
If you own a firearm, you need to take this class, whether
Yeah.
it's for concealed carry, home defense. If you have any intention or desire to use this for self-defense, you need to take this. You need to know.
And then we need some volunteers. Speaking of Mastering Self-Defense Week, we'll need 4 to 5 volunteers to help with the welcome reception dinner and help set up and clean up the classes. Watch the SDCGO volunteer page. That'll be posted, I think this week if it's not already. It'll be posted, and you'll be able to volunteer to help us do this. And that means you meet Massad Ayoob, for free. All right? Am I right, Rich? Yeah, we get to that's the big thing, and I think we'll give you a shirt too.
Are we announcing the date for that yet?
Well, it's that week, March 6, 7, 8, and 9, right?
Well, no. Well,
The dinner.
The dinner is one day.
Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be Wednesday.
Okay, Wednesday the 5th.
Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay. Look for details at sdcgo.org/volunteer. In fact, let's talk about that. So there's 2 things we want to bring to your attention. It's February. We're firing up the tabletops and the shooting socials. We already talked about the shooting socials. Now let's talk about how to volunteer. And all these opportunities are at sdcgo.org/volunteer, sdcgo.org/volunteer, and you can volunteer. Where do we need tabletops?
All right, we got a couple opportunities coming up. So this weekend we have 2 shooting socials. So
Yep.
we have Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday, we need mentors.
I need mentors for the shooting social Sunday, which would be at the Poway Range.
Okay.
So we need volunteers and mentors for that.
Yep.
We also have a tabletop going on at the Gun Range San Diego after our shooting social on Saturday.
Okay.
Then on the 15th, we have a tabletop at Discount Gun Mart out in Santee.
Okay.
So that'll be Roy that's heading that up on the 15th. John Becker, who loves to do tabletops at different events around San Diego County, is doing a tabletop at the Turkey Tune-Up. And that is on Saturday, the 22nd at Lake Henshaw Campground.
Nice. Okay,
So-
so these, by the way, these tabletops, let's talk about those for a second. All we're asking you to do is go to sdcgo.org/volunteer.
Correct.
Find one that fits your schedule.
All we need is 4 hours.
4 hours, a volunteer. All you do is sign up, and then we'll give you a shirt, and you go to the location at the time specified, and you will find a tabletop leader.
Correct.
You'll find a tabletop, and you'll find all kinds of material. and they will walk you through. They'll help you through volunteering.
We'll teach you how to volunteer.
Teach you how to volunteer. All you're doing is you're talking to people about CCW, you're talking to people about San Diego County Governors. You're answering their questions if you can. If not, you're helping them get information. You're helping them sign up to become a member. It's super fun. It's super easy. There's no specialized information that you need or training or anything like that. Shooting socials, you're helping a brand new shooter shoot.
Correct.
If you've never done it before, then come on out. What we'll do is we'll have you mirror somebody and watch them mentor somebody. Or if you're experienced and you're like, hey, I can do it, give me a first-time shooter, no problem, then great. We'll walk you through it. You have RSOs. We set everything up. It's totally free to you. You just bring your 9mm empty. We provide everything else. Right?
Yep.
Is there anything?
Nope, you got it.
Okay, so tabletops this weekend, shooting socials this weekend.
Next weekend, we've got Discount Gun Mart Santee. And then the weekend after that, which would be the 22nd, we've got the Turkey Tune-Up, which is out in Lake Henshaw. And we have a tabletop going on at North County Shooting Center.
Good.
So,
and by the way, the turkey tune-up, all you're doing is manning a table. But the
yep.
turkey tune-up, what you're doing is you're actually going there and you're entering like you aren't.
Lubing
You're
oil.
All you're doing is manning this table. But the audience are people that are trying to get a spot to shoot turkeys. They're basically
they're trying to get a raffle.
yeah, it's going to be turkey season pretty soon, and they are raffling off blinds so that you can go get yourself a turkey.
So that's our kind of crowd because of those guys that like to go bang.
There you go. There you go.
So, yep, those are our volunteers for February. All of them. Definitely, we can always use your help. If you've never done a shooting social tabletop before, we're here to help you. So we'll teach you how to do it. Just come out and see us.
They're fun too.
They
I got to
are.
tell you, the shooting socials are very rewarding.
They're very rewarding. I love seeing new shooters learn how to shoot and getting that fear away from them.
Yeah.
And then tabletops, you're talking to our community, right? Like people within the Second Amendment community are amazing. They're so nice and so willing to talk to you guys. And so it's a great experience.
And it's the beginning of 2025, month 1 down.
Nothing's
We're
down.
in month 2.
Yep.
So don't forget to follow up on your New Year's resolution to do just a little bit more than you did last year.
Volunteer just a little bit more because we need all the people we can get. And
There
if
you
you
go.
can't afford to be a member, we will take your time.
Yeah.
It's just as valuable.
So if you did a couple of things last year, this is your opportunity to do one more than a couple. Do 3 things this year. And, you end up seeing a lot of the same folks. And, as fun as volunteering is, and it's only a few hours here and there, it can get taxing if you're
tiring.
Yeah, if you have to, you're the one that has to fill the slot every single month. You know what I mean? So help your fellow volunteer. Get in the trench with them and say, hey, I'll take this watch. You stay at home and hang out with your family or do whatever you normally do. But help us take some of the stress and pressure and commitment off of the other volunteers that do so much. So if you've never volunteered before, have this be the one. Let's blow it out of the water. 2025, volunteer, work a table, be an ambassador. It's so easy. It's a lot of fun. You can do it. We have a training video for the mentors, right?
Correct.
We
Yep.
still send that out?
We always send that out. So anytime you sign up to be a mentor, you're going to get a video via email from myself that's explaining to you how to mentor, right? So
There
you've
you
never
go.
done it before. Great. We're here for you.
It's not a first time. You're not an instructor.
Nope.
You're just giving them a safe first time shooting experience. That's all it
Yes.
is.
Yep.
So there you go.
Safety first.
That's there. Yeah.
Should we give a shout out, Mike, to our tabletop leads that do an amazing job of helping us facilitate all of our leads at these different tabletops?
Hell yeah. Who do we got? We got John Becker.
We got John Becker. We got Elliot. Gotta love our Elliot.
Love Elliot. Does a great job. Garrison. Mr. Garrison.
Yep, Mr. Garrison. You've got
John Baldwin.
John Baldwin. We've got Tyler, who's our new upcoming tabletop lead that also
Yeah.
loves to volunteer at shooting socials too. He's becoming a big activist for us, which we love.
Yep. Who else? I know we're
We got Roy.
Roy. Yeah.
Yep.
Who else?
I think that's it. We covered north
We're
and
missing
south.
somebody, and it's going to be embarrassing.
Oh no, we have Rick.
Oh, yeah. Rick. Two
Lotz.
Ricks.
We got Rick. Yep.
Rick
So-
Cohen and
Rick Lotz.
And Rick Lotz. Yeah.
Yep.
One of them. See, Rick Cohen usually does the tables.
Correct, and Rick Lotz is always at our shooting socials, and is also a tabletop lead now too.
Oh, is
And
he?
they're both new board members.
Yeah, they are. They're both new board members. Congratulations, you guys. You guys really, really, truly earned it. They're
did
brand
earn
new
it.
San Diego County Gun Owners board members as of January. So it's about a month now.
And we also had another one, right, Matthias?
Yes.
Bringing more people onto the board.
Yep, he just made a board. I was just talking to him about We're going to try to go. We were talking about carpooling, but I don't know. It's kind of a long drive. Gun rights policy conferences in Salt Lake City in September. And so Matthias and I were talking about possibly carpooling, but I think we're going to airplane pool.
Airplane pool.
We decided.
That sounds better.
We both looked at each other and decided we didn't want to sit in a car with each other for 14 hours.
That's a long time. I don't know if I'd want to do that with either of you either.
Yeah, so I think we're going to airplane pool. Anyway, but it's like from here to Utah, it's only a few hours. It's like 3 hours.
Flight.
Yeah, and it's like $60-$70, you know.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's not that. It's really inexpensive. I mean, one way. So it's probably like $150 round trip.
That's not bad.
But I'm looking forward to Gun Rights Policy Conference. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I really want to try. I want to get a San Diego group together and go up there and have some
I'll
fun.
come. I'll represent.
Yeah?
I'll be there.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I'll be there.
Got
End
the
of
girls.
September.
Yep. Put it in our calendars.
You're gonna
We
hear a lot
might even
about
drive. We like each other. I think we
We
can handle
do.
a car ride.
We could do a girls trip.
There you go.
Girls road trip. You're
like-
not invited, Mike.
like Thelma and Louise.
Well, because then we could bring our guns with us, and we could do some shooting along the way.
Oh, that's right. I have a Utah CCW. Yeah, well, it's like the third week of September. Second Amendment Foundation puts it on, and I think, like I said, it's like the third
Last year
week.
it was in San Diego.
It was in San Diego. Now it's going to be in Salt Lake. So it should be a lot of fun. Yeah. So, Sam on? Can we go to Sam? What was that? Is that a yes? Okay, cool. All right. Time for everybody's favorite segment, Stump My Nephew. We found out years ago that my nephew, Sam the Gunman, is really good at gun trivia. So if you send us a question and we use it on the air, we'll give you a hat or a shirt. And if you stump my nephew, then you get a special prize. But good luck. He is extremely hard to stump. This segment is sponsored by SEAL1, SEAL1.com. Go to their website, SEAL1.com. Buy some SEAL1. SEAL1 makes gun ownership easier and smell better. The live fire class with Massad Ayoob is sold out, but we're announcing the winner right now. That's both live fire and classroom training. An incredible opportunity. It's about $1,000 value. So whoever wins this is basically putting $1,000 in their pocket, but even better because they're walking away with knowledge. Don't wait. Stock up now and secure your chance. Oh, we already did that. We didn't edit that part out, right? It's too late, right? We're going to pull a winner. It's too late.
Ready for the video?
Wait a minute. Do I do the video or what do I do?
Yeah.
Let's play the video.
SEAL1 has been such a great sponsor of the show and supporter of Massad Ayoob training event. They put together a sweepstakes where you could win a MAG40 training class, and it's time to announce the winner. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. Robert Zapian. Congratulations, Robert. You win. You just won a MAG40 training package from SEAL1, SEAL1.com. Thank you, Dwight, from SEAL1. Such a strong supporter. And thank you, Robert, for entering and, of course, winning. All right. Awesome job. SEAL1. Go check them out. Very good. Do you remember Desi? Have you met Desi?
Hi, Sam.
Yeah, I think we met last time I was out there.
Yeah,
All
we
right,
did
good.
meet. It's good to see your face again, sir.
Likewise.
Okay. This question comes from Millie in Costa Mesa town in Orange County. William F. Buffalo Bill Cody used a variety of guns. Oops. Hold on. I almost ruined it.
Oh no.
So the question is, name a gun that Buffalo Bill was known to use. She wants you to name a gun that Buffalo Bill used, like something he was famous to use. She's got a list here. Small list.
And who wrote that in?
That was Millie from Costa Mesa.
Millie from Costa Mesa. Well, now I feel like a dummy because I've been pronouncing it Costa Mesa all this time.
That's okay.
We'll forgive you.
Yeah.
Millie from Costa Mesa, thanks very much for writing in from the home of Armalite, actually, Costa Mesa. You know, I can tell the listeners have figured out where my weak area is. I keep saying it. Like, I'm not good with, you know,
With like Old West,
like Civil War era and Old West type of firearms. And I'm not I don't know a whole lot about black powder. Buffalo Bill, he was a real person. William Cody was an exhibitor, a demonstrator. It wasn't really it wasn't what you could call a vaudeville act, but he would put on demonstrations of sort of a played up theatrical version of the American West for people who maybe weren't from there. So I would have to say, knowing what moderate to little amount I know about that period, I would have to say that he probably used, I'm going to say, model 1866 or model 1873 lever gun. He probably used a Colt single action Army, and maybe a trapdoor Springfield, but that was more of a military rifle. So I don't see that being as much of his thing. I'm not going to say he wouldn't have used one. I didn't know the guy, but I'm going to say, yeah, it's going to be either a model 66 or 73 lever action carbine. Probably in, I don't know, 4440 was a common caliber at the time, and probably a single action Army.
I feel like you're close, Sam, because both of these two are like laughing.
You kind of, yeah. You again talked your way into it. He actually didn't use a Colt Army. He used an 1851 Colt Navy.
You're so off.
Okay.
We got to go to what was written before that, though.
But he did use a Springfield trapdoor rifle. You're absolutely right. William F. Cody, let's see. Let me read what William Buffalo Bill Cody used a variety of guns, including the Springfield trapdoor rifle, the Colt 1851 Navy percussion revolver, and the Lucretia Borgia rifle. Did I say that right, Sam?
I don't know. But let me tell you something about the Colt Navy revolver.
Okay.
Actually, pretty much all Navy revolvers from that period were differentiated from their Army counterparts pretty much only in caliber. So the Army would have the big version in 44 caliber, and the Navy would have a little bit smaller version, same gun, in 36 caliber, equivalent to what would evolve into the early 38 caliber black powder cartridges, eventually into 38 special.
She went on to say that William F. Cody made his reputation and earned the moniker that made him internationally famous with his 1866 Allen conversion Springfield rifle caliber 57.
Ooh, an Allen conversion. Okay.
He did say you threw out 1866.
He got excited.
I know.
Yeah.
Well,
you want to tell us about the Allen?
um,
She's got a little bit of an explanation. Why don't you tell us what you know about the Allen conversion?
All right. Yeah. The reason I just sat up straight in my seat is because I have been recently working on a piece about the trapdoor Springfield, and the Allen conversions were actually it was basically the same action, but the idea was after the end of the Civil War, the master armorer at Springfield, a Mr. Allen, Allin, was left with huge stockpiles of obsolescent long guns right after the war had just proven that breech loaders were the way of the future. And so he wanted to figure out a way to convert them into breech loaders. So what he did was he cut away the rear part of well, not really receiver. He cut away the rear part of the barrel, the closed off portion, being that these were rifle muskets, so muzzle loaders, and installed a hinged tilting breech block. And you would lift up the breech block like a trapdoor, hence the name, to load a round into what became the chamber, then close the breech block. And the original lock plate was kept, but the hammer was given a flat face and used to strike a firing pin rather than strike a percussion cap. The barrel could be reused, the lock plate could be pretty much reused, the stock could be reused. And so the 1865 and 1866 Allen conversions were the earliest progenitors of what we know as the M1873 trapdoor. Now, the original Allen conversion, the 65, was in some like 50 caliber rimfire cartridge, but they quickly quickly ditched that for the 5070, which would later on evolve into the 4570 that we associate now with the trapdoor Springfield.
There you go. She writes, the Allen conversion turned the Civil War era muzzle-loading rifle musket into a single-shot breech loader. It was the precursor to the legendary Springfield Trapdoor 1873 and 4570, which would become the U.S. military service rifle through most of the latter part of the 19th century.
I'd like to take a moment and appreciate that whole history that Sam just gave.
That awesome?
And remind you that he started off by saying this wasn't a strong part of his skill set.
Yeah.
Well, do you know why I was researching it? Because it isn't a strong point in my area of knowledge.
He's trying to be well-rounded with his knowledge.
There you go.
I know it.
I'd like to point out
You
that
gotta
I
eat your
did
vegetables.
correct his pronunciation of Costa Mesa. So
There
that
you go.
was-
He learned something from you today, Mike.
There's value.
So, just to put that
Costa
out there.
Mesa, home of the AR-15.
There you go. Awesome job. Thank you so much, Millie from Costa Mesa. And awesome job, Sam. You nailed it, bud. Okay. Let's go into our next segment. This is the Shoot You Straight segment. No bull, just straight shooting on today's hottest gun and political topics. It's time for the Straight Shooter segment. Desi, this is a new segment. I don't think you're familiar with this
I've
one.
never heard this segment before. I'm excited.
This is where you get to weigh in if you have an opinion. If not, you just kind of stare at Alicia
And smile at each other.
and smile. Okay, so there is, the NRA is in the middle of rebuilding, rebranding even. And Doug Hamlin, the guy who took over, he's the NRA executive vice president, just recently put out a letter, and I wanted to put it out there. Wanted to read it a little bit. This just came out, February 2025. Dear NRA voting member, so it's specifically to voting members, people that are actually voting for the board of directors. You have stood tough and stood tall as a proud member of the National Rifle Association. You are committed, as am I, to the defense of the Second Amendment of our Second Amendment rights. It's not an easy fight, and I'm glad we are in it together. Your NRA is in a period of renewal. I call it NRA 2.0. We've faced some challenges, but I believe challenges are only there to be overcome. And with your help and support, we shall and emerge stronger than ever. Make no mistake, NRA is under new management. NRA 2.0 is winning every day. We are dedicated to transparency and accountability every bit as much as we are to freedom. We have strict financial controls and a commitment to compliance at every level, and all of that ensures we are on task and on mission. We will continue to do the right thing and not be distracted in the defense of your rights and our association's goals. We went on to talk a lot about NRA 2.0. And NRA 2.0 is the right people in the right places to defend your right to keep and bear arms. We're making great progress. The candidates on the ballot to fill our NRA board of directors seats must be scrutinized by you as we set NRA on a course to continued growth and greatness. Take the time carefully to consider who will represent you and guide your NRA into the future. President Ronald Reagan, whom I have visited at Rancho del Cielo in California in the early 90s, once said, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Freedom and its future are in your hands. Stand proudly with me and your fellow NRA members in defense of freedom and the Second Amendment. Sincerely, Doug Hamlin." And he goes on to, he talks a lot about, your NRA board of director recommends a yes vote on the proposed amendment. He talks about an amendment, but I really wanted to focus on this message here. I've now met Doug. I've talked to him on the phone a number of times, and I want everybody to know I'm really impressed. In fact, usually when I get these email or letters, whether it's email or in the snail mail or whatever, you just kind of disregard them, throw them away. Somebody from marketing put it together. I got to tell you, I'm pretty sure, Doug, this is very similar to conversations I've had with Doug. This is not something that somebody in marketing put together and he just kind of, whatever. This is truly what he has. This is the message he's been spreading, and not just publicly, but privately when it counts. And I wanted to put it out there and see what you guys thought. I've You know, I've been pretty skeptical. I've kind of just ignored the NRA.
Rightly so.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that they earned, you know, my silence. And I got to tell you, I've said this before. People of the NRA have actually attacked me personally. So it's not just the stuff that everybody else knows about, but some of their past employees have actually crapped on me personally. They felt like I was competition, and it's kind of ugly, especially when I was a real big fan of NRA. That's how I got into Second Amendment activism. I think that they have earned a second chance. You know, I don't think you should write them into your will yet, you know, or, you know, empty your savings account. But I am definitely looking at them with, you know, through a much less jaundiced eye. And I wanted to see what you guys thought about it.
I think the letter sounds promising. I think that, I mean, I personally still am going to reserve judgment until I see it.
Yeah.
But I think it's very positive, and I think that if there was anything they could have put out that would make me inclined to kind of want to believe in them, I feel like that's what he put out is what I would need to hear.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing. Just gotta.
I think he's taking it in the right direction because
Yeah.
NRA, I feel like, has been stagnant for a lot of years and they haven't really done much. So putting someone new in like him might be a good thing for the NRA.
Yeah.
Good change.
And I think he's the right guy. I really do. He, by all accounts, everybody I've talked to about him and all the conversation I've had with him, he seems like really truly the right guy to follow up the last few really, really rough years.
And if you vouch, so you say that this is his demeanor, this is him. That makes me feel even better.
His
about it.
personality and the message I've heard from him in personal conversations comes out in this letter. So, Sam, what do you think, bud? What do you got? Anything?
Well, I agree that I agree with the general sense of cautious optimism. I will not come out and say the NRA is back, everyone. I'm sure someone is recording a YouTube video right now that they're going to put out with some clickbait title that has their face going like that, saying,
Save that
"Is the
marshmallow.
NRA
Yeah.
back?"
Great shot, Rich. You got it.
The NRA is back, everybody. But it seems like they're going in the right direction. I will watch this area with great interest to see if they make good on it.
And there's when it comes to the board of directors, there are the reform board of directors, and then there's like the status quo is what they're being referred to as. And I think you should probably pay attention to the reform guys. I think that the reform candidates are the ones that are going to really truly embrace NRA 2.0. John Petrolino, the Penn Patriot, the Gabagoo author, he wrote a couple of really good articles on the reform NRA folks. So check him out as well, the Penn Patriot, John Petrolino. I think we posted on our social media as well. But definitely pay attention. And like I said, it looks like they're really truly trying to go in the right direction. There's a little bit of internal fear of change or whatever, or some kind of power struggle. But so far, I got to tell you, I'm with the reformers. So,
I mean, I think it's time that they need a change, right? Because if you think of gun owners in general with the NRA doesn't really do much, I guess, in a sense, right? And so when you think of non-gun owners, like, oh yeah, the NRA, that's so cool. Like everybody knows the NRA. But for us, we're just like, it's the NRA, right? So for us to be like, okay, cool, is a different sentiment.
yeah,
right?
well, and I think you're right. And by the way, sentiment isn't going to do it. You know, they got to do.
They got actions speak louder than words. So
Yeah.
let's see some change. Let's see the NRA stepping up. Let's see them do some stuff at a wider level, and then we'll think about it.
I mean,
Like-
a lot of people have stepped up. Firearms Policy Coalition has stepped up and been a
Yep.
fantastic leader when it comes to, especially lawsuits.
And we partner with them a lot on lawsuits.
Yeah, they partner with us. They've been
partner with
so
us, yep.
awesome to us. Second Amendment Foundation has done a great job. A lot of people have stepped up and filled the gap.
The whole, and on the training side, USCCA has taken over a huge chunk of the
100%.
market.
So I love the sentiment, and so far Doug's been very impressive to me personally. But they're going to have to prove.
They got to walk the walk and talk the talk.
They do. They got to prove to gun owners, here's why we're valuable. Here's why we're worth the support.
Yep. Show us the value. Because right now, all my dues go to is mailers. I don't know how many times I go to my mailbox and I see an NRE mailer. I'm like, well, there goes all my dues.
There you go. Okay, speaking of new chairs, new boards, the DNC, that is the Democratic National Committee for, of course, the Democratic Party, they have a new vice chair. Now, they have a bunch of vice chairs. They have in fact, the DNC is made up of a bunch of people. And their new vice chair is somebody that we've all heard of, a guy named David Hogg. You'll remember David Hogg as he was in what was the name of the school? Marjorie Stoneman, Douglas. Oh, I'm so embarrassed I can't remember the name of the school. That they had a mass shooter, and Hogg was one of the people that was there. And a bunch of kids really embraced the idea of gun control. A bunch of kids did not embrace the idea of gun control. One of the fathers, Andrew.
Stoneman Douglas High School.
That's right, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School. But it was a big thing. It was a big deal when it comes to Second Amendment versus anti-Second Amendment. And David Hogg definitely fell on the anti-Second Amendment side. He's 25 years old now, and he was just
24.
Is he 24?
His birthday's not until April.
Okay.
He's a young baby.
He's about to be 25. He's 24 years
Yeah.
old, and he is now a vice chair for the DNC. Rethink the way we've been doing things. This is what he says he's going to do. They're going to help rethink the way they've been doing things, and they're going to rid our party of its judgmental attitudes and do the work to win back every group we lost this year, from the working class to the young people. Funny thing is, he says he wants to rid the party of judgmental attitudes. If you follow him on any social media, especially Twitter, he is the king of judgmental attitudes. He is a snarky, snot-nosed, he's exactly what he's saying he's going to rid the DNC of. So he just got elected into the DNC, and now he's going to rid them of what he's been guilty of for I don't know how many years now. Here was his little mini acceptance speech. Nope, we don't have his okay. He's also, the other interesting thing is, and I know a lot of people, I think it's definitely worth concern as far as, we have this big anti-gunner who's now part of the DNC. I mean, how much more anti-gun could the DNC be? Number one. But I think he's made a huge mistake in that, the DNC, the Democrats in general just lost a big, huge election because of their extremist views.
Correct.
People really, truly said, "Hey, this is way too far. We want to get back to, an economy that makes sense." Some of the things he's actually stood for: abolishing ICE, completely abolishing ICE. I don't mean, reining them in. He's called for the abolishment of ICE, which is a big issue in the last election as far as why Trump got elected. Yeah, defund the police. He jumped on that bandwagon. He, of course, he embraces gun bans, and he wants to designate the NRA a terrorist organization.
Oh.
Young David Hogg here is an extremist in every sense of the word. He really, truly is. And all the things that the Democratic Party did wrong, he was neck deep in. And he kind of had this attitude of, hey, let young people lead. Well, okay, maybe you should figure out how to get there, or figure out, learn how to get an organization to a particular place, and, figure out why it is they lost, because he's every reason they lost. Now, I think it's always bad when an anti-gunner, gets a bigger megaphone, which I would argue that if you're a vice chair of the DNC, you get a slightly bigger megaphone. I don't know how much it's actually expanded, though. I mean, he's really done a good job of making his own big megaphone, so I'm not quite sure how much bigger his megaphone just got. But, you don't want somebody who's anti-gun, who's against your rights to keep and bear. You don't want them into any kind of position of power. It doesn't matter. But I will say this. From his comments when he won, I think there's a real case to be made that he just muzzled himself. He's going to get on this DNC committee, you know, he's a vice chair now, and he's going to find out that it's not what he thinks it is. And it's kind of like, I don't know if you're, you know, if you ever worked for a company that has all these different divisions, you know, maybe they have, you know, they have legal and they have HR and they have marketing and they have sales and they have, you know, this project manager and that project and whatever. They have all these different departments. And then maybe they're looking for a CEO or a new executive and they pick somebody from your department. You're all happy, like, oh, great. Finally, we have somebody that's going to solve our problem. And it's some problem that's real specific to your department, right? I don't know what it is. Like, there's not enough coffee creamer in the break room or whatever, right? And you think, great, one of us finally made it into the executive ranks. And they get there, and, you know, this new job as an executive has absolutely nothing to do with coffee creamer in the break room. And you start going, you know, you used to be one of us, and now you're one of them, and whatever, blah, blah, blah. What I'm saying here is David Hogg doesn't understand the job. The job isn't to go be anti-gun. Like he you know, he's going to talk about gun bans and how we need to do this for guns or whatever. And the rest of this committee is going to say, hey man, we got to raise money. You know, we have to vote on a budget. We have to get candidates in place. You know, there's a whole different thing. There's no time left over for them to figure out how to be even more anti-Second Amendment. So I think he's unintentionally muzzled himself. Now, if he does spend a bunch of time on trying to figure out how to be even more anti-gun, I think that might be good news in that it's going to take away from the actual real work that the DNC would have to do to be effective, because this isn't going to make him effective. So on the one hand, never good when an adversary who disagrees and wants to take your civil rights away gets a position of power. However, I think he has no idea what he's doing. He stepped into a position that's going to take his ability to further his anti-gun message away more than it's going to give him more of the ability to, advance his message. And the other thing is his track record is atrocious. He's accomplished absolutely nothing. He's not done a single thing. He hasn't gotten anybody elected. All he's done is kind of spouted off on Twitter. You know, he got a lot of people to show up at an outdoor event at one point, but that wasn't even really him. So anyway, I think it should probably be very, very interesting. Any opinion, guys, on David Hogg being a new vice chair for the DNC?
It's going to backfire. He has no life experience. He's coming from a generation of peers that. I don't know how honest. Can I be honest?
You can be honest.
Gosh, whiny babies.
Watch it.
Just
It's the
what's that, Sam?
he said, "Watch it."
Sam,
He's in that generation.
Yeah,
you guys are the same age, aren't you?
But I think Sam, you're like my husband. You were born 40 and just aged from there. Like you were classy. You were outside that. But it's just he just likes to yell and scream because I'm
temper
watching
tantrum.
these. Yeah, he has little fits on camera, and I don't know. I'm not impressed, and I think it's going to backfire.
He is kind of a.
He's a whiny little.
Yeah, he is kind of a dainty young man, isn't he?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's just the left. I mean, that's all I can say. Like, I don't really expect much anymore, and so nothing seems to surprise me at this point. So with everything that he stands for and everything that you've said, it doesn't surprise me anymore.
It just feels like the left went too far. The Democrats went too far. They figured it out, or at least they were given that message in the last election. Like it was made crystal clear to them, hey, you guys went too far with some of these extremist beliefs. And it feels like electing a guy like David Hogg, they're doubling down on their mistakes.
They're not changing.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, he says they're going to change, but it's like they just hired the fox to look after the hen house.
Did they pick him? I'm just trying to think of what their motives could be. He's like you said, he has no history, but he's like a social media.
But maybe they're trying to appeal to the younger generation by putting someone that's 25 and has this whole social media platform, right? Like, because they're trying to bring this younger generation up now, right?
I mean, to his credit, kid went off to college, got his degree, got got as deep into politics as he possibly could. He wants to change the world. Great.
And he's a young politician.
Yeah, I think he's trying real hard here, but I don't think this is going to resonate. I don't think this is going to be good. In fact, I hope it's bad. I don't know. Sam, what do you think?
Controversy time.
The what?
Some listeners may take issue with what I'm about to say, but
Fire away.
you did
Fire
ask
away. We
for
like
my
it.
opinion. And I do have a degree in my degree's in international affairs, which is within political science. So hopefully I have a little bit of understanding of this, but I don't know.
Credibility.
Sam is much more qualified.
Sure. Scare quotes, credibility. I disagree on why the Democrats took such a pasting in this past election. I think what the issue was, I think where they failed is that they failed to appeal to what has historically, so past couple decades or so, what has historically been their base. And I think that by nominating someone whose main qualification is as what you could call a community organizer, they hope to be able to energize their base again, number one. And number two, they're well aware that the electorate is changing demographically a little bit. And really plainly stated, as was already said, I think they're trying to appeal to younger voters, which, to be clear, is a good strategy. Because if you try to appeal to the same block of voters, those voters will age, and then you'll run out of voters, and that's not really sustainable. So while I don't like David Hogg for a number of reasons, and I find his politics loathsome, and I don't like his attitude or his way of doing things, I am in some way appreciative to see younger people getting into politics like that, because I'm disappointed that many of the people in Congress, for example, are the same people who were in Congress 20 years ago, and they were really old then, let alone now. But it'll be interesting to see how this goes over, because he is really, really good at shooting his mouth off and saying some dumb thing in front of everyone. So
I truly wonder, do you think that in 4 years, it boils down to this. In 4 years, do you think that the presidential candidate, the Democratic choice for president, their candidate, do you think that that person's going to get one more vote because David Hogg is the vice chair on the DNC?
I don't, and here's why. Well, maybe one more vote is a little bit of an extreme way to put it, but I don't think he'll be successful in turning around the Democratic Party. And here's why. If you look at everyone knows that his big thing is gun control. That's how he made a name for himself, really. That's how he catapulted himself into a place of celebrity, was by making noise about gun control. And saying a lot of really asinine things on the internet and getting into arguments and screaming matches about gun control. But if you look at the demographics within the gun owner community that have been the most rapidly growing, even before he became politically active, they were the exact groups where the Democratic Party did unexpectedly poorly in these past elections. So I think that he will have the effect of dissuading a lot of people who are gun owners but were not very, politically active or politically aware. And that may very well outweigh any gains in the younger generation that he might bring. That all of the above said, again, I don't particularly like him. I disagree with his politics and I disagree with his style. But please, anyone who's listening to this, stop harassing him on the internet. It makes us look bad. It makes the rest of us look bad. I'm serious. I'm tired of seeing people go online on Twitter or whatever, and just leaving these vitriolic, hateful comments under everything he posts. Like, you're not changing anyone's mind to agree with you by calling him names and stuff like that to his face, and just making these really, really insulting, defamatory remarks. It just makes the rest of us who disagree with him for more legitimate reasons look like a bunch of hateful jerks.
You're probably right, but it's just something I like to do.
Maybe
That's Mike.
maybe David Hogg and Tim Kennedy can get together.
I was just going to say, why don't we introduce the two of them? They could probably be gun control activists together.
I do wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if Kennedy is going to go in like some kind of. I did kind of wonder that. Like, I wonder if he would go in some direction, like an anti-gun direction, like really true.
You
anti-gun
can introduce him
direction.
to David. It seems like he's got the best platform already.
All right, here's the next one.
I want to see what I want to see is if you want to make it a 4-way match, Tim Kennedy versus David Hogg versus Carl Casarda versus I don't know, dealer's choice, Dugan Ashley maybe.
Well, I don't know. Hopefully, I don't know. I hope the guy just disappears, to be honest with you. All right, next story. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass, totally on the ropes. Totally on the ropes. And this is an interesting poll, but I think there's a little bit of a twist at the end here. New poll. L.A. Mayor Karen Bass wildfire response approval rating is at 37%, which...
That's higher than I thought it would be.
I know. I was going to say, how'd you get
Who is the
37%?
37%?
Yeah, I was going to say.
I guess they're the ones whose house didn't burn down.
Yep.
Poll shows that Rick Caruso would beat Bass in a rematch if the mayoral election was held today. Rick Caruso is the Republican, and a Republican mayor in L.A. would be
Much needed.
It'd be a miracle. So according to a new poll released over the weekend, L.A. Mayor Karen Bass, her approval rating on her wildfire response reached a new low of only 37%, with 43% of likely voters in the city now saying that they would consider Republican leadership instead. 43%.
But hold on. 30,
How is it only 30 or 43%?
let's talk about the 37% being
Okay.
a low. I would think that would be a high for her approval rating.
No, well, I think she had a very high approval rating before the fires.
Right, but then the fires happened, and that
Yeah.
basically lit that on fire. No
Well,
pun intended.
And honestly, that's kind of where I'm going with this. I mean, the entire city practically burned down,
Correct.
and it was clearly, she was partially to blame.
Right.
And she still has 37%, in this poll saying, hey, we think she's doing all right. And there's still only 43, not even half, would vote for not someone specific. Now, there were two different pieces of this. They were actually talking about Rick Caruso, and then they were talking about Republican leadership in general. Since January 7th, Bass has received scorching criticism from her handling of the wildfire emergency, leading many to call for her resignation.
I see what they did there.
Amongst Bass's many criticisms tied to the fires include cutting $17.5 million from the LA Fire Department. $17.5 million. Deciding to travel abroad in January, despite knowing there was a major emergency that could happen with high-speed winds being expected, giving a minimal response to the fires on the first days, refusing to answer press questions, having promised to never travel abroad as mayor, yet doing it anyway, showing an overall general mismanagement of the fires once she returned to L.A. I mean, it goes on and on and on. By the way, the person she left in charge, like the vice mayor, was like in the middle of getting arrested when all this happened. I mean, no one's even talking about that.
I didn't even know
I
that.
didn't
Yeah,
know
it's
that either.
crazy. If you have a minute, see if you can look that up, because I don't have the details.
Yeah, I'll pull it up. Give me a minute.
During a roundtable discussion in the Pacific Palisades on Friday, President Donald Trump hammered Bass over her half-hearted response to the fires. Trump repeatedly sided with residents and said that they should be able to access their properties immediately. Bass contradicted herself several times on when residents can return to where their homes were. Bass also appeared visibly angry when residents told her during the meeting, quote, "We can't even get in there without Trump." That's not good.
So they need Trump, is what you're trying to say.
It was pretty bad. I watched the press conference. It was really, really bad. I just think you have to allow people to go to their site and start the process tonight, Trump said to Bass. You have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also. And we will, responded Bass. It's pretty interesting. Now, here's something that's another piece of this. Further concerning for Bass is a growing recall effort against her. Okay, an unofficial change.org petition currently has around 165 signatures from LA residents asking her to resign. That's a lot, a recall effort. You want to know what the problem with the recall effort would be, though?
What?
If she gets recalled,
What?
the city council picks a new mayor. You don't get, it's not,
It's not the
Doesn't
voters.
go back to the voters.
no, it's not democratic. So, do you approve or disapprove of how LA Mayor Karen Bass is handling the wildfires in LA? 9% are unsure, 37% approve. They think she's doing a great job.
And those are the people that did not lose their houses in the fire.
I would, it's seriously the only thing I can come up with.
I mean, because, oh yeah, my house burned down and the mayor could have helped prevent it. Sure, I approve.
Unbelievable. And then 54% disapprove.
I would think that number would be a lot higher.
And then LA Mayor, this is another one, 21% are undecided. This was, if the 2026 election for LA City Mayor were held today, for whom would you most likely cast your vote? If you're still undecided on who, then please select undecided. Undecided, 21%. Caruso, the Republican, 43%. And then she's at 36%. Now, this all kind of sounds good, Maybe it could sound better. But here's something interesting. One of the reasons, I follow a lot of channels and social media, whatever. Most of the people that I follow, I disagree with. I think that the trend is that you go find somebody who you like hearing, and you like, hey, I agree with this guy 90% of the time or whatever. I much prefer following people I completely disagree with. Sometimes it's infuriating. I have to put it down for a minute, But I want to know what's going on, I don't want to hear somebody that I already agree with. I already agree. And yeah, that's what I think too, or whatever, right? I want to hear, hey, what's the other side doing? What are they saying? What are they up to? And here is a very real effort that's starting to rev up.
Let's hear it.
Despite the fact that this mayor is horrible and she did a horrible job and she cut the budget and she didn't know what she was doing, despite the fact that so many people, disapprove of the job that she did, and you'd think that, oh, well, this is a perfect opportunity for Republicans. They'll just jump in, whatever. Don't forget that they all still have other opinions about everything across the political board. They all still have opinions about abortion, about immigration, about taxes. They all still have those opinions. So here's the very real effort that's starting to bubble up. There is an effort in LA to change people, to have Democrats, people that are registered as a Democrat, to register as a Republican in order to scare state and national Democrats so that they will give a better Democrat for them to vote for.
But that's a real thing?
That's a real thing. It's actually happening. There's actually plans. There are people sitting at a table somewhere right now trying to roll this effort out.
So hold on, kind of like in a bunker, like we are, devising
Yeah.
different things.
I don't know
They're trying to do that.
I don't know if they have blue foam on the wall, but
Blue and black foam.
Maybe.
Yeah.
now, do I think it's going to happen? It's probably not going to happen. They're not going to get some kind of there's not going to be 5 million people that were registered as Democrats that are going to re-register. I don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, we can't fit that many people in this room, Mike. So we can't put 5 million people here.
But it's very telling. I mean, what do you got to do? In LA, I mean, you burn down the city and you still won't even consider a Republican?
Go ahead.
I found the information that you were discussing. So he's not been arrested. He's under investigation. He's been he's on leave.
He's on leave. What was the investigation? It was
He
like
called in a bomb threat to City
That's
Hall.
what it was.
In September. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and his home was raided.
yeah,
as part of the investigation.
he was being arrested. His home was raided. So
Yep.
she was in Ghana, right?
Yes, correct.
She was in Ghana on a trip that she said she wouldn't go on.
Right.
And she left him in charge.
Correct.
What is he? The vice mayor? Is that what he is?
No, he's fire. Something with fire. Give me just a moment. I was kind of toggling between articles here.
Anyway, he was
Come back to me.
second in charge there.
Second in command.
Second in command, and he was busy being arrested for phoning in a bomb threat to City Hall.
Yep.
That's LA.
Yep.
That's LA. I love LA.
I mean, that kind of sounds like LA when you think of the history of what's happened in the last couple of years there.
Yeah. He was given the position of deputy mayor. However, I did read
Deputy
somewhere.
mayor.
Deputy,
Yeah,
there you go.
But
That's what
however,
you call him.
he does have a history with fire. Give me a moment. But yeah, so she was there in Ghana.
So if he had a history with fire, though, wouldn't he have been a little more prepared for, say, something that happened?
Well, when your mind's a little, caught up in the bomb threat consequences, it's so ridiculous.
Oh, he had experience and oversight of the city's fire and city police departments in the past. That's how
Oh, good.
he was
So
picked for this.
he kind of
That's
blew
what it
up
was.
those plans.
A bomb threat.
Right.
Jeez. That's like, it's so 1980s high school. I want a 3-day weekend. That's not L.A. deputy mayor
Who was it? Who
during
was that
fire
guy?
season.
Who was it that pulled that fire alarm?
In what?
Oh gosh.
In like what? Fast Times at Ridgemont High?
No. Was it somewhere? Oh gosh. I feel like I'm mixing up stories.
Anyway.
There was someone out of DC that pulled a fire alarm.
We got to move along.
I know.
I wanted you guys to be aware of that.
be
I wanted to show you. It's one of the things I keep talking about is I don't want to dampen people's excitement about, whatever, a red wave in California or whatever. You got to understand it's so enormously complicated. And now is that you have to make it happen. It isn't just going to happen. An entire city practically just burned down and they're still going, she's not so bad. Like 1 in 3 people are like, whatever. I mean, bygones be bygones. There's a lot of work that has to be done. And, all we're asking, Gun Owners Radio, we're just asking you, hey, do a little bit more than you did last year. This year, do a little bit more than you did last year.
Do better.
A half day of volunteering. If you didn't do anything last year, do a half day this year. If you did one last year, do 2 this year. There's so much that can be done, and we have to strike while the iron's hot. There's so much support in so many different ways. The courts, the federal government, but the state, not so much. Depends locally where you are. Certainly in LA, but good things can happen, but they're not going to happen unless you make them happen. So that's all I got for today. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Desi, thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Mike. It's been fun.
Yes, ma'am. Alicia, thank you for being here. And
Thank you for being here, Mike.
Yes, ma'am. You bet.
Thank you for all that you do, sir.
Thank you. And big old Sam, thanks. Excellent job again on
Always the
talking your
voice
way.
of reason.
I
Yes.
know, really. And of course, producer Rich over there pushing buttons. He's like he's the guy behind the guy. He's the